Alright, so getting right into it, in the last video I completed the mast section. Now that was pretty amazing on its own, but there is much work to be done still, and you're going to be a little bit mad at me. I did jump ahead a little bit because some of this is a rather tedious work, and to put it on video, well, sometimes it's good to give you a summation of work that I did, plus show you a little bit around. So this is the cage. I covered in the last video I was going to paint the whole unit blue and black with yellow accents. Now this light itself actually came with a bolt that went right through and had a nut that came on, and then I used some shrink tube and a small zap strap that's supplied to cinch it up on the side. Now, LESU sends these lights that are just small LEDs. Now let me see if I can find one here. There we go. Look at this, just a little tiny light emitting diode. You take this and the wire and you actually build the assembly for it to sit up on its perch and then run it through and even assemble these side lights. Now what do I mean by that? Well, this was actually three separate pieces. The clear piece, the black piece, and the orange outer lens. You actually have to sandwich everything together, running the wires through the pieces and glue them. So I've pre-glued them and had them done for the show today. Also, you'll notice that there's a bracket up here. Look at this neat little bracket. Wouldn't that be cool if that came assembled, or would it be cooler if you got to make it? Well, look at this. It isn't even bent, but it does have some gouges in the metal that help you basically bend this into place, and I want to make sure to do this carefully. Look at this, one-handed. One camera in one hand using zoom, and the other one making a light bracket. Nice, you can tell I've had a few years of experience. Okay, so there is that right there. Now this itself is going to get mounted up on this side. There is a receiving hole right here. And then, so through the magic of TV, now that you understand how these lights are made, it's installed. So the side looks just like that, where the wires are run through back on the other side. And here is the other LED. I haven't put the lens in yet, but just so you could see how it was kind of put together. And then, of course, I'll put a screw and nut right there to fix it up. And in this shot, who can tell the difference? What is different? No hex nuts on the inside. I removed them. I was actually supposed to use a smaller, like a 3mm screw almost. Really, really small with no nut on the other side. It shows right here. So there you go, just to let you know in case you're building along with me. Now for this next move, you can use heat shrink or tube or whatever you want, but I'm going to use this tubing as a sheathing for the wires going everywhere. You'll see what I mean. I'm just going to start cutting it into place so I can help run these wires and not have them all straggly. Man, this wiring takes a long time when you're trying to do it right, but check this out. Now, this coping doesn't come in the kit. I just want to be clear, this is just something I had in my toolbox. But I cut it long enough to where I could run both of these through this one tube, and then I was able to squeeze these two wires and put all four of them into this tube, coming down and making sure to mark which ones were the side indicators. Now, which one is which? That's easy to find out because this one is on the farthest side. It's the shortest. So I don't have to worry about that, but I'm going to get these cinched up into place and we can move on. Speak to me, O Book of the Wise. What do you have for me on 15? So we are installing the back brass weight. We're going to be using a couple of ball-headed bolts, as it says there, 2 of the M2x3s, and just basically bolting it right on through the back, right on. And then number 16, I didn't paint the interior. I'm going to leave the interior black. If I don't like it later on, I'll paint it. That's no problem. We can get that situated right into the cab itself. So let's get on that back brass piece. Alright, the brass piece. You can see I've painted it all up. Several layers of caution yellow, just so I figured with a blue forklift you'd want to have some bright colors on there just so it can be seen. Only 2 small holes on the back. Check that out. Put that up against the back cab. And then 2 bolts right on the inside. 2 screws rather. Using the bit itself was a lot easier. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Whoa. Reach way over here and grab the interior. Put it in on an angle. I like this. There's even a hole notched in there for the electrical wires. Put it in on the angle. Let it fall through the cage. Fumble fingers here. Getting it right. What's going on is the coping is slightly larger, but because it's rubber coping, it doesn't matter because it fits perfect. Ta-da! Then I reach way over, grab that one. All right. I know it's still recording. This is the reality of filming. There we go. And then carefully wires down through there and like so. Yes, coming together. Now 4 bolts on the bottom, 4 screws rather. If I get all these lined up properly, like that. Aha, now almost looks a little bit like my Heiko soldering station. Starting to look really good though. I need to put in that other lens. So that other one's just kind of sitting in there. Right on. Next. All right. 18 has to do with the seat placement. So got to find a plastic piece, that piece, bolt them all together with the seat, and then get the seat and the steering column in. So that goes into this small piece right here. I love how every LESU bag or every part is bagged, really. Let me see here. Just so we can have a look. Oh yeah. So since I have a black cage and a black theme, I don't really need to paint the black pieces, which is a bonus. But I can move ahead with this right away. So install the steering block or the steering column and the steering wheel. No problem. So a steering column would drop in like that. And then 2 bolts are going to line up. So I'm looking around for these pieces. I'm like, I just don't get it. And I check at the beginning, it's checked off. And then I see here, loudspeaker. So this is the sound kit. This is the speaker that actually sits underneath the chair. How cool. Here's the sound kit. Here is the piece I'm looking for, the speaker itself. That is super neat that it is already assembled. Shows here that you want to assemble it, but you don't have to. All you have to do is put it in the bottom of the seat with the speaker side down and then bolt it in with the countersunk M2 8mm. This build is getting cooler and cooler every moment I keep going here. Look at that. Who doesn't want a subwoofer underneath their seat when they're in the forklift, right? You know what I'm talking about. I wonder, there's a screw hole here, but no way to screw it in. So the cab, this goes underneath. Make sure it's planted properly. Like that, and then screw that in. Okay, look at this. Number 21, I get to install the shifter with a hex nut, and look at the shifter. It's nice. It's perfectly cut. It's beautiful. I don't know if it's cut or cast or what. I think it's cut. Look at that, hex nut on the bottom. What a great accessory. Okay, for my next magic trick, I'll be installing the stainless stack on the back. Underneath, there's going to be a nut, but it is huge. There we go. If you're following along now, you know. Look at this. It's almost like it was metal 3D printed. It's gorgeous. And then in 22, they're asking me to put this back pin in here, which also has that threaded nut, but I've yet to find that piece to put in there. So because it's standoff, like standalone, I'm going to leave it for now until I do come across it, which is not a big deal. Then I take the small, let me see, right here. Look at this. All these tiny details, guys. Look at that. Finally get to put that on, and then I get to run the main kingpin through. You'll see. And around the back of the vehicle, I just dropped the pin in. Underneath, you'll see that I've already attached the latch. Now, step 24 obviously led me straight to step 25, which confused me a little bit because I was wondering where's the motors and gears and all this fun bearing stuff. And all of a sudden I realized they already did this section. So that's a big bonus unless I want to go in and check all the bearings and whatnot. But if you check, all this comes together into one piece, and then I'm jumping straight to part 29 where I can take this out drive here, where this is a pin drive system, if I can focus there, and basically hook it straight up to the end. Beautiful! And then a few tires. The super scale guys are going to love this. Watch this. So here, in goes the drive pin, right? Then comes the drive adapter, like that, with all your holes. Then comes the washer, or pardon me, the lock nut. See if I can get that threaded on there. Get that cross wrench, I'm just going to hold on to it. Get it fully threaded. Now it's a nylon lock nut, so you don't have to worry about it backing off once you got it on there nice and tight. And then, da-da, da-da-da-da-da, you take your tire, line up your holes, like so, and then take your cap, and then you get to bolt on all of the bolts individually right through all three pieces. Ba-bam, and it looks like a nice perfect axle. Once you have both all locked in, of course in a star pattern, look at this, limited slip diff, guys. No longer having to worry about that straight axle issue. I love this. This is innovation on its own, and listen, it's so quiet. Okay, perfect. On to the next.